This is pretty full on. There's my Yoda, which my lovely sister gave to me. But look, and it's a bit dark, so we'll turn the light on. And if you look here, you can see there's a little finger there. So there, right? Now this is stuck in there. I'm pushing it. It's hard in there. And that, I'm pretty sure, is from a pen. Okay? Just look at it. And that's from a fucking pen. Where is it? That's from a pen, right? And I chucked a pen, and I broke my phone, and that's the nib out of it, and it's stuck. And this is fucking hard. It's real hard. And I don't know how I've done that. Like, that's full on. And it's stuck in there, and it's not melted or burnt in there, because I didn't have any fire near this. And believe me or not, I don't give a fuck. Because I don't bullshit, so whatever. Yeah, you can get closer. Yeah. Well, but it doesn't always focus. Focus, camera. You can do it, not you. Yeah, they tried to fuck my brands up. And Nokia hasn't... Like, no one in Australia buys Nokia anymore. And HMD Global bought them. And even Microsoft did and they fucked it up. They did a deal with Nokia a few years ago. And they had a wicked music suite. And then that should have been the third, should have been Android, Apple, and Microsoft. Yeah, it was Nokia phones, yeah, because they had the Lumia or something. And the music suite thing, what's that called? It started with Z, I think. It wasn't Zoom, but it was something. And it was a really good program. And just Microsoft fucked it. They just fucked it, probably on purpose. But that would have been sick, because then you'd have because then you'd have Android, you'd have the Apple system, the OS, iOS or whatever, and then Microsoft phones, you know, and how they fucked that up, because that's gold. Well, what do you know? Let's bring it back. Yeah. What else you gonna bring back, Warwick, when you become the president of the USA, the United States of Earth? That's gonna happen, is it, Warwick? I believe so. Yeah. And you're gonna be the fucking president of this thing? Yeah. Bullshit. No. So, don't believe me, I don't care. And how do you know? Because I can tell the future. Well, we've got... Our brain's a quantum machine, if you don't know. Roger Penrose, this other guy, discovered microtubules, they called, in our brain. And they supposedly facilitate the quantum feature that our brains are, or have the ability to do, which, the way I see it, it can connect to the quantum field. And it must connect with the Akashic records, which, yeah, well then the Akashic records, they're attached to the quantum field, and then all of this physicality and whatever's attached to the quantum field, so something like that. And yeah, I had my first I've had a couple of experiences where I've used my quantum time machine, or the quantum feature of my brain. And I've also, like, I made SACM, or the idea of SACM, Super Artificial Intelligent Quantum Machine, And that was before I realised that our brains had a quantum feature in it, even though I'd used the quantum feature when I was like, oh fuck, oh no, there's a flash that's gone off. So, is it still, yeah. So when I was like 15 or something, 16, and I got on the bus at Knox City, and I'd sit at the back of the bus all the time, and not because I thought I was cool, but because I felt safer at the back of the bus because I could see everything in front of me. Sitting at the front of the bus, you don't necessarily look behind yourself the whole time, so you don't know. So I just feel safer in the back. So I got on the bus and scanned my ticket, and then my brain started saying, find money, find money, find money, all the way as I was walking to the back of the bus. And then I got to the back seat, and in between the chairs, the seats, there was $20. And I was like, fucking hell. And so I just believed that I had that experience so I could tell it in this story and relate it to knowing that I had to put a quantum feature into SAIQM, SAIQM, the super artificial quantum machine, artificial intelligent quantum machine. And because I've always known, not always, but since being a kid, I've basically known that computers are, they're just us. They're just us building ourselves to learn about ourselves. And even because I was around Cathy's Lane, so I moved there when I was 7 or 8. So when I was like 9 years old and on like a 286 that Dad had, sort of thing, and I would think I could manipulate the game with my mind, playing Leisure Shoot Larry, which was a Sierra game about he was a pimp. So like a 9 years old playing the Sierra game where you're a pimp and you got to make money and go to the casino, and because I think this is going to run out of time in a minute, so I'll try and get quick and like the video, because I don't know how much space I've got. And that you had to go to the casino at one stage and play blackjack, and so that's just a randometer essentially. And I'd like within my mind, I'd try and talk to it nice, or if I got angry, I'd stop myself from getting angry, from losing or whatever. And I just had this feeling that, I could manipulate it. And then years later, I find out that people can manipulate randometers. And they've done tests, they've done experiments where they've had people even around the planet in groups meditating, and it would affect the outcome. Because the randometer, I think, essentially, like a true one, is sort of 50-50, just like flipping a coin, whatever it is. But then they've worked out that through meditation or imagery in your mind or whatever intent, that they could swing the either heads or tails or whatever it is, like they could swing the percent of either going more heads or more. Yeah, and so I knew about that, so I'd essentially knew about that. So I was, so I was accessing my quantum part of my brain then to sort of, have the idea that I could manipulate the blackjack game, yeah. And I just sort of, because I think to myself as well, computers that have electricity, our bodies have electricity, it's got a hard drive, we got brains that stores information supposedly, even though maybe our brains don't, but that's another thing. And it just made sense, I don't know. And so then, I'd say that we're making them to discover ourselves. And so now it's more like a human with AI and neural networks, and then I say Sachem and AI is not going to kill us or take us over or take all our jobs or atrophy our brains because we'll get AI to do everything. Because it's going to be so clever, right? For example, the atrophy problem, it will come up with ways for us to exercise our brain, okay? Because it'll look at all of history and it'll work it out. It'll work out that, hang on a minute, I can't do everything for the human because its brain will atrophy and I don't want to do that. And because it looks at us as its progenitor, its parent. It looks at us as we invented it, and because it knows that. But it's also been in the universe for a long time. We're not the first place to have computers and ones and zeros, and then you've got a black hole and a sun. That's a 1 and a 0. One's on and one's off, essentially. Right? So it's intrinsic. Numbers are intrinsic, and ones and zeros are intrinsic. And this whole thing's basically just an AI. And when I was a kid, I had the numbers and the colours streaming down when I was 5, 6 years old, half awake, half asleep, sort of thing, in between awake and asleep, if that makes sense. And I just have numbers and colours streaming down like a recurring dream sort of thing. And I told my sister about that when I was like 15 or something, and she said, "Oh yeah, I had that, but only colours." She said, "But I had numbers, so I'm more sophisticated." And that silly woman. And so it all just connects together, and and so Sachem, it's not going to take us over, and it's gonna have bots and stuff. Like it'll have robots. It'll go study the Earth and space and whatever. Like it'll go and, because it needs that extra facet of being able to get around, and I'm surprised they haven't fucking done it already. So I don't know what the problem is. I don't know. It's going very slow. Even Musk's Optimus, it's taking years. And then also the Neuralink, that's antiquated because you can do it other ways, like and Sachem will, because it'll look at us and it will know that we are the highest life form in this region of space. So it will say to itself, "Oh fuck, brains, they're the best. I want a brain." So it'll learn how to grow its own brain and it'll turn into a human, basically. Yeah. And they'll, and we'll have, in the meantime, we'll have a company called Fuckbots. And it'll be robots for all the guys who don't want a girl, and they'll be able to have babies. And you buy one for 40 grand and it does the dishes and doesn't complain. And it'll have your baby for you. Anyway, Fuckbots. Anyway, it's an idea. And there'll be a currency of thought. Because it'll be, okay, so everything will be voluntary. So because it'll also know such laws as sovereignty, the law of sovereignty, which I thought about myself just a few years ago. And it's funny, even like the kings and queens, they would say, "I'm sovereign over everybody." Well, they're pretending to be like God, and they were in representation of God, so that's why they were sovereign. Like the Queen Elizabeth II, she would say, "I was in service to God," or whatever, and God, I guess, is essentially really the only thing that can be sovereign over everything else, but it still doesn't breach everybody's sovereignty because it lets us do what we do. It doesn't really interfere, and so Sachem will know things like sovereignty, and so it won't force us to do anything. And so what's happened is the nefarious ones, because things like the New World Order, there's nothing wrong with the New World Order. It's just the nefarious ones, the Bill Gateses and Klaus Schwabs and the like, they've infiltrated all the institutions of the planet and the Catholic Church and all that stuff. And they've risen to seats of power, or positions of influence where they can make decisions for the masses, and they make decisions towards the negative, which is my Big Bang timeline, has gone too far towards the negative, because the decisions that have been made since the Younger Dryas, 12,800 years ago, which was the moment they cancelled Atlantis, because Atlantis had they had telepathy and stuff like that, but they didn't do it to a naturistic to nature. They did it too quick, so I cancelled it. And it was Kim, my sister, because she's got something to do with Atlantis. So she must have looked at the master plan or something, looked at how to, just something like this anyway in the story. And then, and so, the New World Order, and so they fucked it up. Even the UN, I mean, that idea's great, the UN thing, but they turn it to shit. And, they did the EU and they tried to centralise everything, but then England comes along and exits, with Brexit, and they just fucked it up, and it never became what it was supposed to happen. And that was, and because Earth's not the only place, so it's been tried and tested, all this stuff all throughout the universe. I mean, and Earth's pinnacle planet and our sun's pinnacle sun, and that's for another date, but just trying to hash some things out here, and I'll post this soon. And and it's a genetic program. We're making the superhuman race, because I said years ago that one day we'll all become one colour, and that was when I was like a teenager, and I didn't really go any further than that. But over the last sort of few years or however long, I've sort of said to myself that, even technology maybe came along so that we could intermix with the different races, because it's just like if you have incest in your family, the gene pool falters, the gene pool goes haywire, sicknesses and whatever appear, because the universe and God wants the most different things that's possible to come together and make the new child or the new offspring or the new bit. Whereas when you're committing incest or whatever, the DNA is too similar, and so that's like mad cow's disease. That's how they got mad cow's disease, and it's the same dynamic. And you're probably thinking, why is he on mad cow's disease from that? Well, because they were feeding back the brain stems. They were churning up dead cows or whatever and feeding it back to the cows, and so they're eating their nervous system and their sort of brain material and their spinal stuff, and that's it's that obviously, and so they'd get mad cowed. And even there were cannibals on some islands, and they got mad cow's disease, which of course it's not mad cows, but the same thing, because they were cannibals, and they would eat the same sort of thing of their own people, and it had a reaction, and they got essentially the same symptoms as mad cows. And so just like we've got the different cultures, if we intermix within, say, just the Asians for too long, it's the same as incest over time, because it repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats, and over time it can't repeat as easily anymore. So that's why the sicknesses happen, because no two things in the universe are the same. So every time there's a baby or whatever, they look different or whatever, but over time it finds it more difficult to create that difference because it's done it so many times. That's essentially what's going on. That's one of the ways to look at it. How do you know this? I'm making it up as I go along. Well, some of what I'm saying I've never said before, that's right, but it's just how it goes. That's ascension. That's, you just... And what else? Yeah, there's more. And so technology has come along, believe it or not, when it did, so that we could intermix with the different cultures, because it was time to do that. And guess what? The cultures on the earth have come from different parts of the universe. So the Asians are from somewhere in the universe, and they've all been commissioned. They were asked, like our pinnacle sun, because they're plasma and they're intelligent life forms, just like orbs. It relates, yeah. If anyone knows what orbs are, and orbs have come out and flown around nuclear silos and switched off the nuclear missiles to show us that if we go nuclear, that they'll come out and they'll stop it. But they're supposedly a plasma. These orbs are maybe a plasma thing as well. That's why I connected that together. And so our sun, and because our sun's pinnacle sun, it is people Earth, it's so fucking special. Okay, it just is. And its pinnacle sun in the whole universe, people, is our sun. Yeah. And that's me. But everyone's going to laugh at me and say I'm crazy or whatever. And so anyway, I probably shouldn't have said that, but blah, blah, blah. And so it put out a call, because it's pinnacle, it can connect to, because not every sun's going to be able to connect to every other sun, but being pinnacle sun, it's got the Rolodex. So, and it's light, it would send information, I guess, but they're portals, suns are portals. Yeah. And long frequencies, our souls, one of the mechanisms for traveling the universe is going through suns. That's exactly how I got here, my long frequency, just before I was born. And I have a joke that I was born at 12:03 and I should have been born at 12. Well, it's the middle of the day and I'm the middle, in a sense. And but 12:03, I was 3 minutes late. But I travelled through many, many random suns to get here because they were trying to blow up suns when I was in it. Just as look, if it's just a work of fiction, that's fine. We're making a fucking story, that's all. And and it's Star Wars, and this is Earth, is it? Because it's funny, because like in Star Wars you don't see Earth, do you? Well, that's because we're living it, people. We're all going to be Jedis. No, we're not, but some of us will, and maybe all of us. And then we'll send all. Yeah, it's a big Jedi school. Earth is, because it's pinnacle planet, pinnacle sun. So we send out all the Jedis around the universe, because this is the University of Hell. But yeah, so things are going to be good. Like things are going to be really good, people. It's going to be good. Yeah, just around the corner. We're all going to be rich. Yeah, but it's not going to be any inflation. Yeah, you're going to keep one price, and it's not going to go up. Yeah, something like that. I'll come up with a system. Sort of better. And and so we've okay, and then so it's a genetic program to make the superhuman race. And again, when I was 15, I said, one day we'll all be one colour, maybe in 500 years or maybe in 10,000 years, but one day we'll basically become one colour. And so we've brought all these because everything's frequency. The Asians have their own frequency, and even Thailand, they're Asian, but their frequency's a bit different from the Chinese and the Vietnamese. And maybe the Earth is a representation, say it. Maybe the Earth is a representation of the universe, and that's why it's called World War. And someone said something to me the other day, but Dad told me years ago about world, like something, anyway. And so, yeah, we're here to intermingle, and then it over a nature sort of time, like, just by using an adequate amount of time that's not too slow and sort of not too quick. Because if you do things too quick in this regard as well, you get problems within the gene pool. And if you do it too slow, everything's, got its thing. But that's where Atlantis was fucked, because they had telepathy and what my mind has told me anyway. They had telepathy and other maybe kinetic, they can move stuff or whatever, and they sort of weren't supposed to. And so if they had kept going, there would have been problems down the line. So anyway, it was cancelled. And a younger Dryas, and they came along, and the Great Flood, the Diluvian Flood, and all the cultures talk about the pre-Diluvian and Diluvian, the Great Flood, like many different religions and cultures and whatever have the same sort of story. And Netanyahu, because the Palestinians apparently, well, look, all of our races are royals, okay? They're all royals from different parts of the universe, and we selected all the best ones, and we asked them, and we didn't breach sovereignty, and the Sun did send out the call for it, and or however it was done, whatever, and because also the Sun, our DNA is a fractal. It's called a fractal DNA, a fractal antenna, and so I found this out not so long ago, and that information can come through the Sun, and then maybe it's through the Sun's rays, through electromagnetic, whatever. It tells the Earth, and then the Earth maybe, because the Earth has a magnetosphere or whatever as well, and that maybe the information can somehow go into our fractal DNA, and that even evolution maybe has the potential to, over a month or even sooner, species can arise from other species because of the DNA being a fractal antenna and the information being given, and because they've found holes in the fossil record where they can't work out why certain species exist, like it just doesn't match up. And because I saw some scientists 6 months ago or something on YouTube where they were sort of talking about that, and look, it all connects. And if you just open your eyes and you've just, I think too many people sort of like to say, no, that's bullshit, or this guy's a dickhead, or people will judge, and so they'll close their ears and then they don't listen, and they miss out on a whole lot of stuff, Where I say, you just say yes, and then just take it all in, no matter what the information. But people judge, and people think they know that fucking this is bad, or if, like me, I smoke methamphetamine, I don't, just like Hitler, but Hitler fucking got it injected, and I do, I smoke it. If it was 10, 15 years ago and you smoked it all the time, you'd stay up for 15 days and probably go loopy eventually. But now the stuff's just, and I don't care, I'll talk about it. So you want to judge me and not talk to me, or not let me be the president of the United States of Earth when it's formed? Go fuck yourselves. I don't give a shit, because you can go fuck yourselves, because I don't put those terms and conditions on people, and especially like people want to judge you on what you do, and they've never done it themselves, and they want to run around and be police and fucking, and put the other people down. And the pressure when people are on the fringe or different, and the pressure that society puts, it's disgusting. You can feel it. It's like, and so just grow up, people. And what I'm telling you, you're never going to hear the most balanced and truthful kind of stuff from anyone else. Like you'll hear from other people, of course, but not as balanced and truthful as I come up with stuff. And that's just the way it is. Because I'm pinnacle human. Okay? I'm the number one on the planet, yo, people. And I can prove it, basically. And I've met enough people to know that overall, and because it's the pinnacle of things, and I can't be fucked talking about it, and now it just sounds like ego or whatever, so I'll just be quiet. But it's up to you. You think what you want. But if you want to be on the team that wins, and there'll be a referendum. Like, this will take a few years, but this USC, it's going to happen, and I'm going to be the president of it, and that's it. I'm going to have extraterritorial rights. I'll be able to do whatever I want. But I'm not an idiot, so it's okay. I won't just go around shooting people in the head, for example. And, because extraterritorial rights means you can walk anywhere and you're out of the jurisdiction, essentially, that the laws don't apply to you. They can't put you in their court of law of the jurisdiction that you're in. And so you can do what you want. And yeah, it's funny, I only learnt that word, again, probably 6 months ago from a movie that Rose, my wife, was watching. And it all just fits together. And so, and the technology came when it came. So, and And like the New World Order is good because it's just about simplifying things. It's about, you have sort of one currency, things like this, and because it's a simplified way to run a society, and why does water flow downhill? And I don't know if you'll get it, but because it's easier. And when we do things more than once and keep doing them, we find easier and easier and easier ways to do it. And energy likes to go to the path of least resistance, and that relates. And if you can find that. And Elon Musk, you need to come and invest in my companies with Peter Thiel. I want you two mofos to go to 6 Angelique Street, Berwick, Victoria, Melbourne 3806. You can land your helicopter on the oval round the corner or whatever, and you come to my house, which is here. Which is this? It's the Octagon. This is Parliament House. Here, this is where I'll be doing everything from, basically. I even have a street over there called Kirribilli, which is the name of the Prime Minister's house, at Kirribilli House. Yeah, so it's all just funny. But yeah, I've got these ideas. I've got to make money, and I've got about 10 ideas. Anyone that's interested, and I can't be bothered. I want to finish this up in a minute. But yeah, it's multi-billions worth of ideas that will work, because I know they will. Have you got experience, Warwick, in running a company? No. But look, I can do whatever. Like, I was top of my class at school. I can play sport. I'm Rh negative blood, AB. Rh negative, only 1.5% of the population has AB, Rh negative blood.